Hi Flosstube, I'm Rachel, Stitchy Rach, here on Flosstube and also on Instagram. It is Friday the 1st of April and this is a YouTube channel about cross stitch. Hi everyone, hope you've had a good couple of weeks since I last saw you. I have. Thank you to all of you who are returning, or if it's your first time here, welcome. I've had a few new subscribers over the last 2 weeks, so thank you very much if you have persevered with my waffle long enough to hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate that as well. So we're in April, first quarter done. Can't believe it, flew by. Seems like first quarters, in the last 3 years have been just about getting through them. So another first quarter ticked off. So it's properly spring now, isn't it? Because April. So in Kent today, lambs are gambling in fields, daffodils and tulips are out in the garden, greenhouse full of seedlings, and it snowed. We woke up this morning to snow. Not huge amounts because it's still Kent, but definite snow. It has now mainly melted, but we're still getting flurries intermittently, just fortunately none on the ground. Blossoms out on the trees in the orchard and snow. If I remember, I will insert a picture of the view from my school drop-off run this morning, and you can see the snow across the Weald of Kent. Unbelievable. But yeah, as I say, it has now mainly melted. It's just absolutely bitterly cold with a biting wind. And it did occur to me as I was sitting down to film this that I'm very, very British, English, choose your national word of choice. I always seem to start these talking about the weather, which I didn't mean to, but turns out, welcome to the weather forecast for Rachel from Kent, where you're not, probably watching this on a day that I'm not filming it. Anyway, there you go. So I'm really hoping the weather, I'm looking out the window, which I'm looking over there, I'm really hoping the weather will pick up over the weekend. It's just so, from being really warm, kind of 2 weeks a week ago, it's now absolutely bitter. It's my husband plays hockey, and it's the last hockey match of the season tomorrow. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. And I think there's a real danger that they'll end up with a frozen pitch and won't be able to play with it, which is absolutely ridiculous for April. But hey hum, there you are. Anyway, thank you for joining me. That's a lot of waffle about nothing to do with stitching, but I promise this is a YouTube channel about cross stitch. And I have quite a bit to show you this week. So I have, just looking down at my notes, I have not one, but 2 FFOs. 2 FFOs on this channel. This is becoming a habit. I think this is the 3rd video in a row I've had an FFO to show. For those of you that are new here, FFOs are not my specialist subject, but I seem to be on a bit of a roll. I have cross stitch all over this house, languishing in drawers, or bags, or waiting to be finished, and it just never seems to hit the finishing pile. But anyway, yeah, two FFOs to show. I have a finish. I have 2 whips, 2 cross stitch whips and 1 knitting whip. So I have all the categories today, lots to show you. I'm going to talk a lot about plans. I'm going to talk about, it's the 1st of the month, so I'm going to talk about my plans for April. I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans for Stitch Mania for May next month, and then I'm doing some Uber planning, and I'm going to tell you about something I'm planning for later in the year, so hold that thought. And then I have a little bit of haul to show you. There's no resemblance to the ridiculous amount of haul from last week, but there is haul, and I'm just looking, yeah, sorry, I thought I'd forgotten something, but I haven't. It's all here. So, with all that said, I suppose we better get started. I'm hoping it'll be shorter this week, because 2 weeks ago, last time I filmed, it was a bit of an epic, wasn't it? I think it was about an hour. But yeah, I'm hoping to be more back to half an hour today. So bear with me. I'm going to have a drink of tea and then we'll dive in. Okay, so what should I start with? Should I start with the finish I showed you last week as an FFO? So here is the first of my FFOs. There we go. And it is, are you going to focus? There we go. It's the fox. It's that quirky Quaker fox that was a finish last week. And I have now fully finished it. So this guy is stitched for my eldest, who was a fox in the school play recently. And I have just finished it in this Liberty print fabric hoop, which I bought from, I just looked it up before I came on, stitchkitscrafts.com. And I'm struggling because they used to be called something else and then they changed their name and I can never remember the new name. But I'm pretty sure that's it. stitchkitscraft.com. But I will link them below in the description box. So they do these really nice Liberty fabric print hoops and then they come with a hanging tassel. This one's gold, it's really nice, so you can hang it up. But I just thought that that Liberty fabric, don't focus on me, focus on the thing. It doesn't want to focus on the thing now. Anyway, you saw it earlier, it just suited the colours. It was very autumnal and very much what I wanted for this foxy dude. He was stitched in Classic Colourworks Fallen Leaves on 32 count opalescent Belfast, and I think you can see that sparkle in the colourway Keone by Chromatic Alchemy, and the pattern is Quirky Quaker number 4 from Darling and Whimsy Designs. Let's see, and I will link all that in the description box. But I'm really pleased with him. My eldest really pleased with him, and he has been hanging in our bedroom, so yeah, very chuffed with that. And obviously I finished that myself in the hoop. I didn't finish the hoop myself, but I finished it in the hoop. So yeah, that's the first one. So he can go up there. Can you see him there? No, I'll put him on the other side of the tea mug. Can you see him there? Yeah, he can look at you through the rest of this. Stay there. Let me rearrange the books. Hold please. There. Let you in. Let you in. There we go. He can sit there for the rest of the session, looking at you wedged in by some books. Right. The next one I did not finish myself. Paid someone else to finish it for me. And that is You're Okay, I guess. So I'm trying to... There we go. Less reflection there. Sorry, it's at a funny angle. So I showed this a few videos ago. I stitched this for my husband for Valentine's Day. I usually do a stitch for my husband each Valentine's Day, and this is what I did this year. I chose quite a plain frame. It's kind of black, can you see that? And it's rubbed down, so it's a bit rustic and primitive looking. But I'm really pleased with how that turned out. That was framed for me by my framer, Peppercorn Frames. The design is by Bendy Stitchy Designs, Michelle Bendy, and it's called You're Okay, and it's stitched in all the called for on 32 count raw Belfast linen by what I got. So yeah, again, really happy. I think anything fussier would not have worked very well. But yeah, and my husband really likes it. So really pleased with that. Sorry about the glare on that one. So that is my other. Where can I put that? If I put it there, can you see it? I appreciate where I sit doesn't have a lot of lovely stitching to look at, so I should perhaps get on with some of my smaller finishes and make this area a bit more stitch friendly, but that's where we are. So they're my two FFOs. As I say, one I finished myself and one I paid for someone else to finish. We're really happy with both of them, and nice to get things in a displayable state. And then I had a finish. So this was my third finish of the year. Yeah, my third finish of the year. I have a highlights reel on my Instagram with all my finishes on, but this was finish number 1. Woo! Yikes. It's okay, it's okay. Fortunately, it's a rustic looking frame. Don't notice the dents. Stay there. This was finish number 1. And this was finish number 2. And if you had told me at the beginning of this year that the thing I've just finished would have been finish number 3, I would have laughed in your face. This was languishing, so unloved. I'd started it, it was my second oldest WIP. I'd started it in 2018, just completely fallen out of love with it. I don't think I stitched on it at all last year. At the beginning of the year when I was looking at things, I was like, I think I just need to accept that this is never going to happen. And then I wanted something to take out and about with me, and I thought, oh, it's now or never. I'll give it a bit of a go and see how I feel about it, because it's quite solid blocks of colour. And I did, and I haven't put it down since. And 2 days ago I finished it. So what am I talking about? I am talking about Enjoy the Ride by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. And it's finished. Unbelievable. I started this as a sal in 2018, and I think I kept up with it. The first 4 parts, which were that Ferris wheel, the ticket, the hot air balloon and the fish. I think I basically kept up with it to there, and then I just fell off the wagon, and I was so close to being UFO'd, unfinished, objected. But it's done, and I'm so pleased. It's stitched on 28 count even weave in a blue. I can't tell you anything else about the fabric. It's stitched in all the cord for DMC. There are a few modifications, some intended, some unintended, but the intended ones are mainly around this horse here. So these stars at the top were meant to be in white, and I thought they looked better in yellow. And the outline around the horse's saddle was meant to be in white, and I also did that in yellow. But I'm so pleased. 2 of my children are now arguing over this, so from being very unloved, it's now in high demand. This is still available on the Caterpillar Cross Stitch website, which I will link below. But I am just so thrilled to have it finished. I tell you how big it is, but I burnt all the PDF chart this morning in the fire that I was making. We have a fireplace in the sitting room, and it was so cold we lit a fire this morning. My children don't all go to the same school, so excuse me. So one school is finished and the other school hasn't finished. So I have some children at home and not others. So we were playing some board games this morning. And so I lit a fire in the sitting room, and I always, with all my PDF printouts, because I'm highly unlikely to stitch this again, and even so, even if I want to, I still have the PDF file saved to my cloud. So I just burn the charts when I'm done with them. So I can't easily look it up and tell you. But yeah, I am so pleased. I am so pleased. And I think it's a real sign that even those things that we have fallen out of love with and think, I'm just not going to finish that, actually one day you might get there. So my lesson of this, and I'm not a massive hoarder, but I am of cross stitch, is don't throw anything away. You never know. You never know when the day will come. So that is my finish. And to be honest, there are things that I much prefer in my WIP pile, but I don't think I could be prouder of a finish than I am of this. So how long will it take me to FFO it though? That is the question. So that was my finish for March, or my second finish of March. And then I have 2 whips. What should I show you first? I will show you this. I will try and put a picture in of where Enjoy the Ride was last time. Hopefully you'll now have already seen it because I already have put it in, because I did take a photo of that one. Right, my next whip is, oh sorry, my first whip, because so far you've only seen finishes, is Bouncing Babies ABC by Lucy Heaton. This is available as a PDF download on her website. It's charted, as you can see, as an Afghan blanket, but I'm sure most of you know if you've been here before, I am just doing it as a sampler. If you haven't been here before, this piece is huge. It is 480 wide, no, 400 wide by 480 high. It's a beast, but it's one of my targets to complete this year in 2022, and so far I am on track. So I'll put in a picture of where it was last time you saw it, because I did take a picture, and not, was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday, so Wednesday, same day as I finished Enjoy the Ride, I also finished Block B. B is for boat, which is what I had been working on. I really love these. I think the shade, there's no back stitching on these. I think the shading on them is just fabulous. This is stitched on 36 count white linen by Zweigart, and I'm stitching it in all the called for DMC. So really happy with boat. And that was one of my WIPGO goals for March. So I've ticked off both my WIPGO goals for March. The other WIPGO goal was a block on my Peanuts Afghan, which I think I showed in my last video, if you want to see that. So I will attempt, as it's off the Q snap, to show you how the whole thing is looking now. This is very tricky to do, so please do bear with me, because it's just such a big piece. I am sat reasonably far back from the camera today. Just don't want to dunk it in my tea while I'm doing this. Let's put that up there, because that would just be a disaster. Right, here we go. I will attempt. I don't know if I can show you the whole thing in one go, if I'll have to do kind of a scroll thing. So there's the B at the top. That's the only thing in the top row at the moment. And then we've got D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. So 9 blocks left to do and 9 months of the year to go. Could you see the bottom? It's hard for me to see because I can't, obviously I'm right behind it. I can semi-see through the linen, but not well enough to know if you can see it all. So hopefully you could see all that. I think when it's finished, what I'll do is I'll take a picture of each square and I'll probably put it in a highlights reel on my Instagram feed. So I'm really happy to currently be on track with where I want to be with this piece. I would just, oh, the sense of achievement to finish this. It's been, when did I start this? 2019, I think. I'd have to look that up, but yeah, I think it was 2019. And I've been averaging about 4 or 5 blocks a year. So I think if I manage to do the last 12 all this year, I will be really chuffed. But so far, I have been really disciplined with myself to making sure this one gets the attention it needs. So yeah, really pleased with that, to have that done. It is not, the fabric, particularly around the side, is not clean. Like you can see, you see that? There's a wine stain on there. So I will wash it when it's done. I will put it in a washing machine on a delicate cycle in a delicates bag. But I do put stuff in the washing machine, probably with like a 10 billion colour catchers. But also that's far enough away that when it's framed, that will be under any mount or anything. So yeah, sorry, so I'll just fold it back up because otherwise it'll be very tricky to fold it up later. I'm just looking at the battery on my camera. I'm wondering if it will last the duration. Where are we? 19 minutes in. We'll see how we go. If I have to start and restop, it won't be the end of the world. So that's my first stitching whip. Sorry, I have to put everything away as I go, otherwise, yeah, I mean, I haven't tidied up for my... Maybe this wasn't the best idea. Let's just push everything back a bit. Push all these books back and you can sit in there better. A bit more space. Yeah, I haven't tidied up from my last Flosstube and that was 2 weeks ago, so... Right, my next stitching whip, which is in the amazing giraffe bag from Penelope's Pocket. Love that. Love me a Penelope's Pocket bag. She does these great tassels for the zips. They're a little bit extra, but not that much. Like £2, Sarah, are they? £3? They're not much. And well worth having. So what is in here? In here is a random piece of paper. I just found this in this bag. It must have been gathered up. One of my kids has drawn that. One of my kids is actually quite a good cartoonist. There you go. Didn't know that was in there, but it's nothing to do with that. It is. Sorry, can't find it now. Where's the cover sheet? It is Mushroom Meadow by Stitchy Princess Black. Now, I know I forgot to take a picture of where this was last time, so I don't have one to insert, but it's quite easy for me to describe to you. I've decided what I'm going to do is take a photo immediately after I've finished filming Flosstube, because then I will definitely have the right place and I won't forget where it was. Anyway, here is where it is. Let me just move this thread so you can see it properly. I'll put something behind it because I think this fabric's quite thin. Here is where it is. So last time you saw it, I had done the green stitches underneath and the kind of grass to the side, and I'd done those first two kind of bumps of white. So the next kind of two sections of white and the start of the toadstool cap is what I've done since you last saw it. I have only stitched on this, I only stitched on this yesterday. So I only stitched on it after I'd finished the alphabet, the boat on the alphabet. So it's only had one more day's stitching since you last saw it. And obviously it's that big toadstool in the middle. This is stitched on 32 count, I want to say, can I find the, I know I put it in here, 32 count Mossy Ruins by Crafty Kitten Fabric, who are no longer in business. So I'm afraid you can't get any, but it's a very, very nice fabric. And I am not stitching it in any of the called for. The called for were DMC. And I always thought I was going to do an over-dyed conversion. And when I got my DMC shade chart out to look at the colours, to me, the colours didn't look very like that cover sheet. The reds were much more kind of orangey than I wanted. So I just went totally rogue and picked out my completely own colour palette. These are all either Classic Colourworks or Colour and Cotton. Yeah, Classic Colourworks or Colour and Cotton. Happily share my conversion if anyone is interested. Just drop me a line. But yeah, really happy with those. They're on the floss ring that matches the project bag. I couldn't get this to show to you last week. Will you show it now? Go show that dude. Doesn't seem to like the kind of what they call cabochons. Anyway, it's the guy in the turban off the back of the project bag in there, and that also obviously comes from Penelope's Pocket. So yeah, that's my progress on Mushroom Meadow, and I'm sorry for the lack of where it was last time photo. As I say, I'm going to do all those straight away after I've finished filming going forward, so that I know exactly where I was. So I've only got that one to do this week because I don't see the point in taking one of the alphabet because obviously I'd finished the square, so next time we'll just be starting on a new square, or maybe even finished a square. So there are all my stitching whips, and then I have one knitting whip to show you. So let me grab that. This is also in a Penelope's pocket bag. A little tag there. She does these kind of small pouches, with zipped pouches, so you know, knitting bag, makeup bag, anything you want a small little zip up pouch for. Little sewing kit maybe. Now, and I even remembered all the cover photos and cover pages this week. I found the right piece though. So this is, I'm knitting Grady Fady by Becca Anderson, and it's done with Schopel Wool Zauber Perlen. There you go. And it's like a 7 mini ball bundle, and it fades from one colour to another. Nearly had a complete disaster with this morning. I had left this bag open with the knitting kind of sticking out the top of it on the kitchen table. And I was upstairs getting children up and ready for school and everything. And one of my children went downstairs and then came back up and went, "Stan has some wool." And Stan is our 18-month-old Labrador who had, in our absence, grabbed it. It was my fault for leaving it somewhere he could grab it, but had grabbed this out of the bag on the table and had taken it into his dog bed. And I, obviously not being able to see it, just had visions of this being completely trashed, you know, like completely useless. But in testament to what soft mouths Labradors have, it's absolutely fine. If you'd been left alone with it for any length of time, he must only have just got it. It would not have been fine because he can rip things apart when he wants to, particularly soft toys and gloves, and chewed one of my children's school t-shirts the other day, so it had holes in. But not only has he taken it and run off with it and not put a hole in it, he hasn't even dropped a stitch. So there you go, that's how soft-mouthed proper Labradors are for you. So, mad at myself, quite pleased with the dog, although I do know that if he'd had it a few more minutes, I would not have been so lucky. It is, however, because he took it in his bed, now absolutely covered in dog hair and other bits of grot from his bed. Anyway, I digress. So this is where I am, and what I did was stick a stitch marker in it for where it was last time you saw it. So that purple stitch marker, there you go, is where it was last time, and that's how much I've knitted since I last saw you. So since I last saw you, I've finished colour 1, which was the solid white. I've carried on and I've carried on with colour 2, and then I've joined in colour 3, which is harder to see because that's just got slightly more green and slightly less white in than colour 2, which was this flecked one down here. So yeah, really pleased with that, and I will take that stitch marker out now that I've filmed, and move it to the next place so that when I film next time you can see how much further I've got, and hopefully the dog hasn't eaten it. So that is all my whip. Honestly, it's covered in dog hair. It's just good. I'm going to have to get one of those lint rollers. So that is, yeah, that's all my whips. So I'm going to move on to plans. So plans. Obviously it's the 1st of April. So the new WIPGO numbers have been called, and I will insert my WIPGO board here if I can. I have obviously had another one of my alphabets called, another block on my alphabet called, in fact A is for apple was called, and another square on the peanuts Afghan. However, I think for April I'm going to attempt to monogamous stitch on my alphabet sampler. So A is for apple, and also hopefully at least one other, and I'm hoping potentially to get 3 blocks of that done in April if I monogamously stitch on it. Now that might be a bit wishful thinking because obviously there's Easter and we've got guests for Easter and we've got a few social things where I know it's just some days I'm just not going to stitch at all, and it's school holidays, which always means my stitching goes down. So 3 squares may be ambitious, but I would really like to give that a whole month. The reason being is that I'm already 1 square ahead on the Peanuts blanket, so I feel if I don't touch that this month, I'm not going to fall off that too badly. And also I want to do Stitch Mania next month, which I'll come on to in a minute. But that means that, say 2 alphabet blocks were called for WIPGO next month, that won't get done on top of Stitch Mania. So I really want to give myself as much kind of a head start before May as I can, because May was when my WIPGO went wrong last year. I stayed on top of my WIPGO till May and then did Stitch Mania and then nothing else. And then it never kind of got back on track. So I want to kind of almost give myself the grace to have a month away from my WIPGO without it just causing chaos. So I hope that makes sense. So expect to see a lot of the alphabet sampler in April. That's going to be my primary focus. But on top of that, I need a new Out and About project because I have finished Enjoy the Ride. And so again, thinking ahead to Stitch Mania, my new Out and About projects are going to be the 2 months of the Lizzie Kate yearbook flip it that I have left. So I only have November and December left to do. And I started those both in my first Stitch Mania in 2020. So I would really like to have those finished before Stitch Mania starts this year. Partly because it's psychological 2 years since they were started thing, they should be finished. And partly because the way I do Mania, that will allow me to have more new starts if they're finished, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is my basic plan for, what month are we going into? May. Can't cope. It's A, seems the year's gone too fast, and B, it snowed this morning. It can't possibly be April and then May next month. So yeah, expect to see a lot of the alphabet sampler and the 2 Lizzie Kate pieces. I suspect the Lizzie Kate pieces will be quite quick finishes. They've both got a reasonable amount of work in them already. So then I will decide at that point what I would like to stitch as my Out and About. So I've mentioned Stitch Mania briefly, and I won't touch on it too much today because I think over the next few videos I'll be talking a lot about my Mania plans. But I will be starting to kit up my Mania pieces over the next month, obviously, to get ready. The way I do Mania is I use the Blimey Cat method. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that, but if you haven't, I did my first Stitch Mania in 2020. And how I have done it, and how I did it that year, and how I did it last year, and how I intend to do it this year, is that I start or continue with as many pieces as there are digits of the year. So in 2020, I started 20 things in the first 20 days of May. Last year, I either continued with or started 21 pieces in the first 21 days. This year will be 22. So every year I get a new start because another day is added into my Stitch Mania. I don't know what I'll do when, you know, it's 2032. We'll deal with that in 10 years' time. And then I stitch on either a brand new thing, or if the piece from the previous Mania is still a WIP, I stitch on that piece. So on the 1st of May, I started in 2020 Modern Folk Embroidery, a Jane Austen, Real Comfort, a Jane Austen sampler, and that is still a WIP. So on the 1st of May 2021, I stitched on that again, and on the 1st of May this year, I will stitch on it again. I have worked out that this year, including the extra day, and if I finish those 2 Lizzie Kate yearbook flippets I'm intending to work on this month, I will have 7 slots for new starts. and I have mainly picked out the new starts. I'm not going to show them today. I don't know if I'll show them before I start them, but I do have 7 slots. Bizarrely, most of them fall towards the end of the month. So the start of my Stitch Mania, I think for the first half, I don't think there are any new starts in the first 10 days, but I would have to double check that. But I'm pretty sure for the first 10 days there are no new starts. There are just pieces that I've started in a previous Stitch Mania that need some work. But that is the plan. So I'm looking forward to, you know, pulling my fabric. In fact, yesterday I went, this room has a cupboard, a walk-in cupboard in the corner. And I went in there and I pulled out all my fabric, my boxes with fabric in. So that's all in the corner of the room over there now. This room is such a mess. If you could see what goes on behind the camera, it's my laundry sorting room. It's our spare bedroom, so it's my laundry sorting room, it's my general dumping ground. I've got all my fabric dyeing stuff out there because I think I might dye a few pieces of fabric. Hopefully next time I see you I'll have some fabric that I've dyed to show you. I've got some finishing stuff over there. It's such a mess. It's such a mess. Never let social media and Instagram and YouTube fool you that other people's lives are managed well and on track. I can assure you they're not. It's just organised chaos. So that's part of my plan. And then my final piece of planning is ridiculously over planning. So you may remember, if you watched my last Flosstube, that I showed this in the haul section. It's Lila's Studio with the Needle 2. And I had got this on a D-Stash haul site. And it's great. I had absolutely no plans to start it. I mean, it is huge. It's, I think I said on the last video, it's 426 wide by 186 high. I mean, I need another massive whip. Like, you know, I don't know what. Like a snowman needs snow, I think. You know, just ridiculous. So, having shown that and tucked it away, well, I was going to say tucked it away with my charts. No, left it in the dumping ground on the floor where all the stuff I showed you last time is still sitting. But Kirsty, Crafting Kirsty, messaged and was like, you should start that. Oh, sorry, hold on, my phone's going. Bear with me. Sorry about that. Delivery, just had to nip outside and get it, so hopefully my nose isn't too red having been out in the cold wind. Right, where was I? So I was saying about I showed with the needle to by Lila's Studio. So Crafting Kirsty got in touch with me. I can't remember if she commented or if she messaged me or whatever. And she said, you should start that for your birthday this year. And I was like, uh-huh. So for those of you that don't know, my last 3 birthday new starts were Village of Hawkrun Hollow, which so far has 1 square completed. A large sampler by From the Heart Needle Art, which has loads of Algerian eyelets in it, and I think I've stitched like 1 row of letters. And then last year I started our massive Kathy Barrick garden vegetables, which so far has, I think, like 2 boxes of a massive vegetable planting table done. So I was like, yeah, because what I need is a 426 by 186 new start for my birthday. That seems sensible. And then I said, actually, that sounds like exactly something I would start for my birthday. I think my birthday starts in future all have to be massive things that will get 0 love. So I went, fine, Kirsty, you're on, but you have to stitch it with me. So I know that Crafting Kirsty's gone and bought this chart. My birthday's not till September, people. Not till September. Anyway, so we've both got the chart. It's all charted in. No, it's some DMC, Classic Colourworks and Gentle Arts. It's quite a lot of threads here. $29. So yeah, I'm going to be, over the next few months, buying the colours and finding some fabric because, you know, and I'll do it in all the over-dyed because frankly go large or go home, right? And there isn't a DMC conversion anyway. So if you would like to join Kirsty and I in our complete, I don't know what the word for it is, birthday bonkersness, please do. The more the merrier. We can see who finishes it before they die. Might not be me. Anyway, so that is the crazy plans. And Kirsty, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. Kirsty made me do it. Don't share plans with Kirsty. So that's all my plans. So some immediate, some less immediate, but you know, and I'll think of a appropriately worded hashtag for that birthday sal when it comes along. So, you know, join in. Right, I'm nearly done. It's a bit of waffling, it's been a bit broken up, but I'm on to haul. What have I got in the way of haul? I've only got 3 things actually, I don't think there's anything else. Okay, so the first one, and I do think she's sold out of these, I am sorry, but it is obviously another Penelope's pocket bag, because how can you not? And she got hold of some of the Teresa Kogut fabric. Oh, look at that. How amazing is that? So she had a few different Teresa Kogut fabrics. I think she has sold out of all of them though. So they all had slightly different bindings and inside fabrics and whatnot. But this is the one I went for. Love it. Love the green tassel. And the front has this amazing ring fabric and an inside green fabric. And I know it's a Teresa Kogut bag and there's a Teresa Kogut postcard inside, but Sarah always puts Teresa Kogut postcards inside her bags. And then there's a little floss ring there. So I know it doesn't have anything in at the moment, but for Stitch Mania I am definitely going to be starting a Teresa Kogut. I think I've got it narrowed down to 2 and I can't decide which one. But whichever one I start is going to go in this bag. So thank you once again, Sarah from Penelope's Pocket. This is just awesome. I absolutely love it. So that was the first thing. The second thing I got was a bit of market haul. Now I know what you're like, but you showed us your market haul last week. And I did. And then this came this week from Sue at Peakside. I had completely forgotten I'd ordered it. But she only got her shipment of these this week. They had to be shipped. She didn't bring them back with her. They had to be shipped. I don't know if they weren't ready. I think they weren't ready, actually, at market. And so I think they had to be shipped to stores, shops. I sound American, no, shipped to stores. Shipped to shops afterwards. Well, shipped to stores is easier to say than shipped to shops. Anyway, sorry, enough waffle. And it was heartstring samplery, small samplers. I love this. And I thought I had all my Mania starts pinned down. And one of them was a sampler, and now I'm super debating switching out the sampler I was going to start in May for one of these. This is just amazing, this book. Beth Twist has done it again. So there are 6 samplers in this book. I'll give you a quick flick through because the photography is really nice. So this one's Esther Cannon. You see it's quite muted. Like that, very much. There is this one, which is called, I'm just going to check the names. Because you think you know what they're called, but then sometimes they're not called what you think they're going to be called. This is Anne Whitaker, 1827. Like that a lot as well. Then there is this one, which is just, if you're into birds, you have to get this book. This is E.A. Selleck, 1842. Oh, told you, if you're into birds, love that, love that. Then there is this one is Anne Dexter. Yes, please. This one is The Spies of Canaan. And last, but certainly not least, is Old Rose Pink Heaps. Look at those. And I just love it. I just think everything in this book is fabulous. I think it is well worth getting your hands on. I hope Beth Twist's going to start becoming almost like, you know, the next Blackbird Designs and doing these amazing books. I think you often get a Stitch book and you're like, yeah, there's probably one I definitely want to stitch and 2 or 3 that I probably will stitch, but there's like one that I'm like, I love everything in this book. Absolutely everything I will stitch at some point, you know, on my 967th birthday. I'll have stitched everything in that book by then. I do love everything in that book, and I would stitch everything in that book. So that was one thing. And then the last thing is actually it's actually a wool purchase, actually for my knitting. So I bought 2 skeins of sock yarn from Black Elephant, who is a UK hand dyer. And when was it? Must have been either at the end of February or the beginning of March, right at the beginning of the war. All the proceeds, not all the proceeds, but a certain percentage of proceeds she made from her sales, she was donating to charities to help Ukrainians. So I bought 2 skeins of yarn from her, and obviously had to be those colours, didn't it? So this one is called Hello Yellow, and this one is Shockwave. And I think I'm going to look for a stripy cowl to knit, and I think I'm going to knit a stripy cowl with those. Yeah. So, I think that's all I've got. Can you hear that helicopter going by? I don't know if you'll be able to hear that. There's a helicopter overhead. Despite the fact we live quite rurally, we do get a lot of kind of police helicopters, because while I can't hear the motorway or anything, I'm not far from the motorway, and obviously they have to like fly over and particularly monitor the Kent kind of port bound traffic, and yeah, and then they have to circle. And then we're not far from a few military bases, so we also do, it's not a Chinook, I can tell, but we do get Chinooks over sometimes. Gosh, they're loud when they come over. That was just a regular old helicopter. Anyway, that's a bit of waffle. That's everything I've got to show you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for hearing my weather waffle, but I hope you have enjoyed the FFOing and the finishing. I promise this won't become an FFO channel. I'm still in your club, those of you that hate FFOing. I'm just not, you know, showing my club membership very well. But thank you for stopping by again. I hope you have enjoyed spending some time with me. I'm really enjoying getting back on to this properly and spending time with you every couple of weeks. Thank you to those of you that come back again and again. You will never get this time back. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. I hope if you haven't hit the subscribe button, you might think about it today. But I love your likes, I love your comments, and now I'm waffling and I need to go. So until next time, have a good week, Stitchers. Bye.